Okay, so in this video we're going to look at how we find the area of a compound shape. Compound shapes are shapes that are made up of smaller shapes basically, so it might be a larger shape such as this that's made up of rectangles, squares, triangles or semicircles. And basically what we want to do is split the compound shape into its smaller shapes, work out the area of each of those smaller shapes and then add them all together. So it's very important that if you haven't already, you watch the videos on how we work out the area of different shapes that we've already created. Okay, so we'll get stuck into the examples. I'll start off with this first one. Okay, so we have this L-shaped shape here. What we're going to do is there's a couple of ways of splitting this shape up, and again, it doesn't really matter what way you're to do it. I'm going to break it up into two rectangles. I could break it up across this way, or I could break it up down this way. I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, so what I have here is this shape and this shape. Okay, so I have two rectangles. This might very well be a square, but again, just keep in mind that it's not drawn accurately, so although it might look like a square, it might not be one. So we have to work out the missing dimensions first and foremost. So if I was to look at the two shapes separately, also when I do that, I label the shapes. So I'm going to call this A and this B. Okay, so I'm going to work out area of A first. Okay, and I show my working out for each of them. So it's either a rectangle or a square. So how we calculate the area of a rectangle or a square is quite simply the width times the height. So I would know the width of the shape is 3 centimeters because of this length up here. So the area of A is 3 times the height of it. Now, here's where we just need to be careful. The height of this rectangle is from here to here. Now, this dimension is not given. However, when we want to work out missing dimensions in a compound shape, this is a vertical side, so I use the other vertical sides to help me with that. Okay, so if the entire length of the shape is 8 centimeters and this shorter side is 4, well then the only way this could be 8 is if this is 4 and this is also 4, because 4 and 4 add together to give me 8. So therefore we now know it's not in fact a square, it is a rectangle because the two dimensions are different. So 3 times 4 is 12 centimeters squared. So the area of A is 12 centimeters squared. The area of B, okay, so thankfully they're already given. It's 10 centimeters long and 4 tall. So we're doing 10 times 4, which is 40 centimeters squared. And the last thing we do is we add the two areas together to give us 52 centimeters squared. Okay, just to show you very quickly, again, I'm just drawing a smaller version of this. If I was to split it up the other way, I would get the exact same thing. So let's say I split it up down this way. This was A and this was B. So as you can see here, this is 8 and this is 3. So this area of A would be 8 times 3. 8 3s are 24. And the area of B, well, again, if I want to find out this missing dimension here, okay, so keep in mind the horizontal lengths, that's 10 and that's 3. So therefore this would have to be 7, so it'll be 7 times 4. 7 4s for the area of B gives me 28. Add them together and I again get 52. So it doesn't matter if I was to split up across the way or in this case down the way, I'll end up with the same answer. Okay, so sometimes there's more than one way to split a compound shape. Moving on to my next example. Okay, so I have this sort of shape which kind of looks like the side of a house, a gable wall. I'm going to split this up into a rectangle and a triangle. Okay, so there's A, which is the triangle, and B, which is the rectangle. Okay, so we'll start with A first. The area of a triangle. Again, this is where it's important to watch the previous videos on the areas of different shapes, is base times height divided by 2. Okay, so let's look at the dimensions we're given. So we know the base must be 6 if this is 6. So 6 times, now the height, again, we don't know the height from here to here of the triangle, but if I use the vertical dimensions that are given, if this is 9 and this is 6, this must be 3. So it's 6 times 3 divided by 2. So 6 3s are 18, divided by 2 is 9. So the area of the triangle is 9 centimeters squared. The bottom shape B is a rectangle, so it's just base times height. It is in fact actually a square, so the base of 6, the height is 6, so we're just doing 6 times 6, which is 36 centimeters squared. Add the two together and I get 45 centimeters squared overall for the entire shape. Okay, there are other ways again to split this up. You could split it down the middle and treat it as two trapeziums, but again, as we know from previous videos in calculating the area of a trapezium, that's trickier to do, so I would just split it into a triangle and a rectangle as I've just done. Okay, the last example we're going to look at is this type of shape. So I've already kind of dotted this down to show you what it's made up of. It's made up of a rectangle and a semicircle. Okay, so this is where we're splitting it, and we've got A and B. So A is straightforward enough. A is just a rectangle, which is 8 times 9. So 8 nines are 72. Okay, centimeters squared. So for the area of the rectangle. B is a semicircle. So for a semicircle, for a full circle, if you remember, we're doing pi times the radius squared, and because it's a semicircle, we divide by 2. So if we consider that this length was 8, then that must mean if that was a full circle, like going around there, then the diameter of that circle is 8. But if you remember, for radius, or for the area of a circle, we use the radius. So the radius would in fact be 4. Okay, so from there to there is 4 centimeters. So we're doing pi, which is 3.14, times 4 squared, and we're going to divide that by 2. We'll use a calculator for this. 25.12. So 25.12 centimeters squared. Okay, so last thing we have to do is add the area of the rectangle and the area of the semicircle together. So add 72, and we end up with 97.12 for the overall area of the rectangle and the semicircle. Okay, again, units are always important with these. Remember, it's area, so we're dealing with centimeters squared, meters squared, millimeters squared, the likes of that. Again, it's always very much the same sort of structure of the question. We split the compound shape into smaller shapes, and we work each of those and then simply add it together. I'll give you some questions to practice with, and anything you're unsure about, just ask.